cutting spending and raising the debt limit. That's what we'll talk about today, and welcome to lunch, to our lunch alert. Every day at noon, you get a new video delivered to your inbox, and we can talk about the major issues facing the country. The huge fight that's coming down through Congress is going to be whether or not to increase the debt limit. Now, obviously, it does at some point have to be raised, but we need to use it as leverage to exact major reductions in spending. And I personally think the formula that Boehner suggested is a good one. $1 of spending cuts for each dollar of debt limit increase. If we don't do that and we simply raise the debt limit, it's like Mike Huckabee said, it's like a family that's broke, maxed out on the credit cards, and their solution isn't to cut spending, it's to call the credit card company and ask them to raise their credit limit. It's not a good way to run a family, and it's an impossible way to run a country. But you can see the handwriting that could come on the wall as a result of when you study what happened last time with the continuing resolution. Boehner came up with a deal that was distinctly inadequate. He said he'd get $62 billion in spending cuts. He only got $38 billion. And then he jammed it down the throats of the members of the House, the Republican caucus, because he said that if we don't do this, troops aren't going to be paid. And he scared the caucus basically into approving it. Well, now what's going on is the Treasury Secretary Geithner is running around saying the sky's going to fall if we default. If we don't honor our obligations, even if we're 24 hours late, literally it will destabilize the whole global economy, downgrade the credit rating of the United States, raise the interest rate we have to pay, and cause general havoc. And basically he's right. It's absolutely essential that the United States not default. Alexander Hamilton could have told you that. But the issue itself is a phony issue, because the total of debt service that we owe every year is about $350 billion, and we take in $2.2 trillion of tax money. We borrow $1.5 trillion on top of that, and we couldn't do if you don't have a higher debt limit. But the tax revenues are more than adequate to pay the debt service. It's just that Geithner doesn't want to do it. He wants to hold the default prospect out there so that nobody takes seriously the need to cut spending. So here's what I think the Republicans should do. I think they should pass a bill which says three things. First, a conditional increase in the debt limit. You increase it by about $200 billion, and you say that can only be used if the Treasury Secretary certifies that all of it's going to go to pay our debtors, those who lent us money, our creditors, and that there's no other source of money to avoid default. And then you do two other things. You specify that if in the event of a government shutdown, the tax revenues that come in should be used first priority to pay our troops overseas, and second priority to make sure that Social Security checks go out. And there's more than enough tax money to do both of those things. So once Social Security, paying our troops, and default is off the table, then the Republicans can shut down the government with impunity, and they can just sit there until Barack Obama recovers his senses, if he has any, and goes ahead and agrees to significant spending cuts. That's the right way for us to proceed. Now, of course, the Senate won't pass that bill. It'll be a one-house bill. But the Republicans will then be on record as saying, we want to shut the government down to force spending cuts, but we don't want to endanger our troops' Social Security or trigger a default. If we do that, then I believe we can exact a very good deal in terms of spending cuts from the White House, because they know that we've occupied the high ground rhetorically. So, thank you for listening, and I want to tell you that on Monday, this coming Monday, the 13th of June, there's going to be the first Republican presidential debate of any significance. There was one other, but most people weren't running back then. Now everybody's in the race, and they'll all be at the debate. It'll be broadcast on CNN from 8 to 10. And while you're watching it, if you go to your laptop and you get to dickmorris.com, I will be tweeting my comments about the debate, and they'll be posted right there on my website. And I'll be commenting every minute or so. You know, I don't really keep quiet much. And you could go to that site, and you could see what I'm saying and what I'm seeing in the debate. And then after it's over, we'll do a video discussing the outcome, and I'll send it out to you for lunch the next day. So, see you Monday, and have a nice lunch.